I want to ask you something, right now, before this story goes any further. The person you love most in this world, your wife, your husband, your partner, do you truly believe you know everything about them? I thought I did. For 29 years, I was absolutely certain. And that was wrong. So completely, devastatingly wrong. The thing about losing someone after 29 years, it isn't the funeral that breaks you. What breaks you is the Tuesday morning after, when you walk into your kitchen, and without thinking, you fill 2 cups of coffee. And then you stand there, holding a mug that has nobody to give it to. That was the moment I understood. That was the moment 29 years became weight. And that same morning, standing in my kitchen with 2 cups of coffee and the silence of a house that had forgotten how to be quiet, a man in a gray suit rang my doorbell, and everything I thought I knew about Sandra began to come apart. My name is Kevin James. I am 61 years old, and this is the most important story I have ever told. Please, stay with me. My name is Kevin James. I'm 61 years old. I've been a high school history teacher in Denver, Colorado for 32 years. Same school, same hallway, same room 214. I married Sandra Margaret James in 1996. We were together for 29 years. And I'm here today because 9 months ago, 1 week after Sandra's funeral, I walked into a penthouse on the 42nd floor of a building in downtown Denver that my wife had purchased 8 years earlier. In complete silence, without ever telling me. Sandra Margaret James, born March 7th, 1967. The most interesting person I have ever met. I met her at a faculty mixer in 1995. She wasn't faculty. She was arguing with a philosophy professor about the ethics of inheritance, with the specific, cheerful intensity of a woman who already knew she was going to win. I walked over at the exact moment the professor began to visibly lose. She looked at me and said, "Are you here to argue with me too?" I said, "Not until I know which side you want me to take." She laughed. I was gone from that exact moment, completely gone, and I never came back. Not in 29 years. We were different people. The kind of different that is complementary. I was the steady one, same coffee every morning, same route to school for 32 years. Sandra moved. She was entrepreneurial. Brilliantly, fearlessly so. Consulting work, projects. She traveled, frequently. Kept her professional life in a separate compartment. I respected that. I didn't ask questions she didn't offer answers to. That was both the right choice and the most expensive one I ever made. We got married in 1996. Small ceremony. Her dress was cream. It rained all day. Sandra said rain on a wedding was good luck. I said Sandra could make anything sound like a blessing. She laughed. The photographer caught it. That photograph is on the wall of the penthouse right now. I see it every single morning. Her laughing, in the rain, on the best day of my life. 15 years into our marriage, Sandra sat me down at the kitchen table. She closed her laptop, which she almost never did when she was working, looked at me directly, the way she did when something truly mattered, and she said, "Kevin, there are aspects of my work I can't fully discuss. I'm not going to ask you to be okay with that. I'm going to ask you to trust me. And in return, I'll tell you this. We are financially safe. I am doing nothing illegal. And everything I do is because I'm building something. For us." I asked her one question. One. "Are you in any danger?" She looked me directly in the eyes. "No," she said. I believed her. I didn't ask again, not once, in 14 more years. That was the most expensive silence of my life. September 16th, a Monday, 4:47 in the afternoon. I was in my classroom, 5th period prep, grading papers, drinking cold coffee. The ordinary, unremarkable end to an ordinary, unremarkable Monday. No warning, no heaviness, no sense that anything was different, just a regular afternoon. The last regular afternoon of my life. The wall phone rang. The one almost nobody uses anymore. I startled so badly I knocked a stack of essays off my desk. The officer's name was Greer, Denver Police Department. His voice was professional and kind, in the specific way that people are professional and kind when they are about to say something irreversible, and they know it. He said there had been a collision. I-25 southbound, University Boulevard exit, a silver Lexus SUV, Sandra's plates. He said the paramedics responded within 4 minutes. He said, "Mr. James, I'm very sorry to tell you that the driver, your wife, was pronounced at the scene." I heard myself ask, "Was there any pain?" "It was very fast," he said. I said, "Okay." Okay. As if anything about that moment was okay. What a terrible word. At the end of everything. I called Frank from the parking lot. Frank Odom, my closest friend for 20 years, 63 years old. The man who always answers on the first ring. He answered on the first ring. "Kev, what's wrong?" "Sandra," I said. "There was an accident." "How bad?" I couldn't say the word. I didn't have to. Frank was at my school in 18 minutes. I know, because I counted. Counting things, that is what I do. When I need to give my mind something to do, that isn't the thing it is trying to do. The week that followed was the specific blur that grief produces. Not a fog, exactly. More like a series of very clear individual moments with all the connective tissue removed. You remember the color of the flowers, the sound of your daughter crying in the hallway at 2 a.m, the specific weight of the pen when you sign the funeral home paperwork. But the hours between, they go somewhere, and you can't reach them. The funeral was Saturday, September 21st. Sandra had a lot of friends, more than I knew in some cases. I spoke last. I said the things that were true, that she was brilliant, that she was funny in the way that catches you off guard, that she had argued with a philosophy professor the night I met her, and won, and that 29 years later, I still wasn't entirely sure I had ever quite matched her. People laughed. Sandra would have wanted that. She always wanted that. September 23rd, Monday morning, 9:14, 7 days after Officer Greer's call. I was sitting at my kitchen table, 1 cup of coffee, just one. I was making 1 cup deliberately now, retraining myself. The specific discipline of a 61-year-old man learning to live smaller. Then the doorbell rang. The man on my porch was about my age, 61 maybe. Gray suit, briefcase, the kind of presentation that says official business without specifying which kind. His name was Victor Paulson, notary and estate administrator. "Mr. James," he said, "I apologize for arriving without more notice. Given the circumstances, I understand you may not have been attending to messages." "I haven't," I said. "Come in." He sat across from me, that kitchen table. The same table where Sandra and I had eaten breakfast for 29 years. He opened his briefcase, produced a folder. Inside the folder, a deed. A matte black key card. A small silver number embossed on the edge. PH2. And a document with a notary seal. "Your wife designated me as administrator of a specific asset transfer," Victor said. "She executed this document 14 months ago, with instructions that it be delivered to you personally within 10 days of her passing. The transfer was automatic, no probate required. The asset is titled directly to you." "What asset?" I asked. He placed the deed in front of me. "Spire Tower, 1600 Glenarm Place, Denver, Unit PH2. It's a penthouse," he said. 2 floors, approximately 3,200 square feet. Your wife purchased it 8 years ago under an LLC. 14 months ago, she transferred the LLC's sole ownership directly to you, with instructions for this delivery. She never told me about this, I said. Victor's expression was carefully neutral. I'm not in a position to speak to what Mrs. James chose to share. I can tell you she was clear and deliberate in every document. She wanted you to have this. He left 15 minutes later. I sat at my kitchen table, matte black key card on the wood in front of me, 1 cup of coffee going cold. I want you to understand something about what it feels like to be a 61-year-old man sitting at his kitchen table holding a key to a penthouse he did not know he owned. 7 days after his wife's funeral. Your mind does not go to beautiful places. Your mind goes to the darkest places it knows. 8 years of business trips, a separate compartment she always kept locked, strangers who knew my wife in ways I had not. I am not proud of what I thought, but I am honest about it. I almost threw the key card in the trash. 3 inches. 3 inches between throwing it away and knowing the truth. Something stopped my hand. To this day, I don't know what. But I am more grateful for that moment than almost any other in my 61 years. Tuesday morning. I went to see Ruth Callaway, my attorney. 58 years old, sharp, direct, the kind of lawyer who tells you exactly what you need to hear without softening it past usefulness. I had emailed everything the night before. She responded at 11 p.m. Reviewed, legally clean. Come in at 9. That's Ruth. The transfer is clean, she said. No liens, no disputes. The penthouse was purchased outright 8 years ago. I looked at the Denver skyline through her window. How much? I asked. Ruth turned a page. Purchase price 8 years ago, $1.4 million. Current estimated value, approximately 2.1 to 2.3 million. $2.3 million. My 59-year-old wife had built a $2.3 million asset, in silence, over 8 years, while I taught high school history, while we ate dinner together every night, while I thought I understood the life we were living. I was the most uninformed person in my own marriage, and I had no idea, not for one single day. Ruth said something before I left. She said, Kevin, whatever you find in that penthouse, call me before you make any decisions at all. I said, you know something. She paused, then, I know that Sandra James was a careful woman who structured this transfer with considerable deliberateness. Careful, deliberate people don't leave things in a penthouse they don't intend for you to find. She handed me back the key card. Go see what she left you. Sandra had not built whatever she built for me not to go. I knew that much. Even then, I knew that much.
Spire Tower is on Glenarm Place. 42 floors, glass and steel. A doorman. A lobby that isn't trying to be flashy, but isn't trying to be modest either. I'd never been inside it before in my life. Tuesday, September 24th, 10:45 in the morning. I stood outside for 7 minutes. Looking up. Sandra, what did you do? What did you build? What didn't I know?
The building manager, Tess Merrow, 45 years old, professional, efficient warmth, met me in the lobby. She greeted me by name. Mr. James, I'm very sorry for your loss. We were all very fond of Mrs. James here. I stopped. She was here often? I asked. Tess's expression calibrated carefully. She was a regular presence, she said. We respected her privacy as we do all our residents. A pause. The penthouse is on 42. I can take you up or you can go on your own. I'll go on my own, I said. She nodded. She understood. Some things need to be done alone. The elevator ride to the 42nd floor was 30 seconds of compression. I watched the numbers rise. 33, 36, 39. I thought about 1997. Sandra and I walking through Lodo in October. She'd pointed at the Denver skyline. Someday someone is going to build something extraordinary up there. I laughed. You sound like you're planning something, I said. She smiled that particular smile, the one I could never quite read. I'm always planning something, Kevin, she said. 40, 41, 42. The doors opened, and I understood. She had been talking about us. She had always been talking about us. PH2 was at the end of a short, carpeted hallway. Deep burgundy carpet. Warm, low light. Absolute silence. I walked slowly, each step heavier than the last. I reached the door. Dark wood, brushed silver plate. PH2. I raised my hand. And I stood there. Keycard in my hand. Unable to move. Because here is the thing about standing at a door you didn't know existed. You understand, in that moment, that everything changes the instant you open it. Whatever is on the other side, once you see it, you cannot unsee it. I thought of Sandra, standing at our kitchen window every morning, that quiet, self-contained expression, the one I had always read as peace. Was it actually something else? Was it the expression of a woman carrying something extraordinary and simply waiting to show me? I pressed the keycard to the lock. I heard it click. I took one breath, and I pushed the door open. And I stopped breathing. Completely. Because what I saw was not what I had prepared myself to see. Not even close. The penthouse was 2 floors. Floor-to-ceiling windows on 3 sides. The Denver skyline in every direction. Rocky Mountains to the west. But I didn't look at the view for long. Because the walls were covered. Not in art, not in expensive decoration. In us. Framed photographs, dozens of them. Our wedding, 1996. Sandra in her cream dress, laughing at exactly the wrong moment. Amber as a newborn. Drew's first baseball game. A road trip in 2003. A terrible rental car and a cooler full of egg salad sandwiches. Our 20th anniversary dinner. Christmas mornings. Ordinary Tuesday afternoons I had completely forgotten. Sandra had not forgotten. Not a single one. I walked through that space very slowly. The way you walk through something when you're not entirely sure your legs will carry you all the way through. I counted the photographs, because counting was the only thing keeping me upright. 53. 61. 74. All the way to 91. 91 photographs. Every one of them, us. A woman who never missed a moment, who was paying attention when I was not. In the corner was her reading chair. I recognized it immediately. It was from the study in our Washington Park house, the one she told me she donated 3 years ago when we redecorated. Here. Her reading glasses on the armrest, a book face down on the side table, as if she had just stepped out, as if she was coming back. The apartment smelled like lavender. Her soap, the same soap for 29 years, as if she had been there that very morning. And on the desk in the corner, a white envelope, sealed, my name on the front. Kevin, her handwriting. I have seen that handwriting for 29 years, on grocery lists, birthday cards, the note she left on our first anniversary when she had to leave before I woke up. I sat down in her reading chair, picked up the envelope. My hands were not steady. They haven't been steady since September 16th. But I opened it, and I read, the most extraordinary letter I have ever read in my life. My dearest Kevin, if you're reading this, then I wasn't able to have this conversation in person. Which means one of 2 things. Either I ran out of courage, or I ran out of time. Knowing myself, it was probably time. Hello, my love. Please sit down. You're probably already sitting. You always were the sensible one. 22 years ago, when I first began to understand what I was capable of building, I made a decision. One I have never regretted, not for a single moment. You were teaching. You were extraordinary at it. You gave those students something year after year without recognition or complaint. And I thought, this man gives everything to everyone else. This man deserves something. Something that is only his. Something no bill, no emergency, no difficult year can ever reach. So I started building.
The consulting work was real, Kevin.
I need you to know that. I built something that, by the time you read this, has provided for us far beyond what either of us imagined when we were two broke people arguing about whether to get cable television. We are not just financially safe, Kevin. We are, and I want you to sit with this, we are free. You never have to teach another day you don't want to teach. Though knowing you, you'll teach until they take the chalk from your hands. Because that is who you are. And I have always loved that about you. More than I ever told you. Which is perhaps the one regret I carry. This penthouse? I bought it 8 years ago. As something I was building toward. A place that was going to be our next chapter. I wanted to show it to you on our 30th anniversary. I had planned the whole evening. The restaurant, the drive, the elevator. Your face when the door opened. I had imagined your face so many times. I am so sorry you are reading this instead of living it. I am sorry I ran out of time. But Kevin, the penthouse is paid for, completely, in your name. It is yours. If you want to stand at those windows every morning with your 1 cup of coffee and look at the mountains, please do that. I always thought you deserved mountains. I just never got to show them to you. Rest, Kevin. Please rest. You have earned it. More than any man I have ever known.
And Kevin, one more thing. The most important thing.
I know what you thought when Victor came to the door. I know your mind, my love. I know it went to dark places. I'm not angry. I understand. I should have told you sooner. I kept waiting for the right moment. And the right moment, this is what I want you to remember, is never as guaranteed as we think it is. Don't make my mistake. If there is someone in your life you've been waiting to tell something, don't wait. The right moment is now. It is always now. I love you. I have loved you since that faculty mixer. Since you said, not until I know which side you want me to take. And I thought, this one. I want this one. I have never stopped thinking that. Not for a single day. Yours. Completely. Always. And in whatever comes after. Sandra. I sat in that chair for 3 hours. I did not move. And wept. Not just from grief. From something that doesn't have a clean name. The feeling of being loved. More carefully, more deliberately, more profoundly than you ever understood. And arriving at that understanding, with the envelope open in your hands, and the chair beside you empty. Here is what Sandra taught me. And I want you to really hear this before you go back to your day. There are people in our lives who are building something, quietly, without announcement, without recognition, without ever once asking you to notice. They do not post about it. They do not need you to see. They are simply building for you, because of you, because you are worth building for. Sandra traveled for 14 years to build something she planned to show me on our 30th anniversary. She ran out of time by 3 months. I found the folder in her desk afterward. The restaurant reservation, October 3rd, our anniversary. She had the whole evening planned. She was 3 months short. 3 months. My greatest regret is not that I didn't know about the penthouse. My greatest regret is simpler and harder. Every time Sandra went quiet, every time she said, "It's just work," and I nodded and picked up my book, I missed an opportunity. Not to know her secrets, but to know her more than I already did, which was already completely. I had a woman capable of extraordinary things, and I spent 29 years being grateful for the ordinary ones, which are also extraordinary. I just didn't say so. Enough. I didn't say it enough.